Hello, everyone, and welcome to EduMatch. So hopefully you're participating with us on Twitter using the hashtag EduMatch. The questions are scheduled and ready to go out. So unfortunately, for some technical difficulties, we're not able to do this week live, but we're going to put this broadcast out as soon as we are done here. So very, very happy to have all of you here. So tonight's topic is personalized professional development, and hopefully we're going to be seeing our awesome moderator, Randall Sampson, who came up with these great questions. But if not, then we're just going to keep rocking and rolling. So we're just going to go ahead and introduce ourselves. So we'll start first with Jarod. If you could please just introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jarod Bormann. I'm in the northeast corner of Iowa. I'm a technology integration specialist by day and very passionate about empowering all educators through personalized professional development.
Awesome. Great to have you here, Jarod. So thanks so much for joining us. And next, we're going to go to Alyssa.
Hey, my name is Alyssa. I am a reading specialist and instructional coach. Love ed tech and supporting diverse learners. Did I say I'm from Chicago? I'm from the Windy City. Thanks.
Yay! All right, very glad to have you here today. Awesome, and welcome to EduMatch. All right, next we have Tavia. If you could please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name is Tavia Clark. I'm a digital innovation coach from the Friday Institute at NC State University in Raleigh, North Carolina.
All right, awesome. Welcome back, Tavia. So glad to have you here. All right, up next we have Cindy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Harrison. I'm an ed tech consultant with Ties Education in St. Paul, Minnesota, but I taught U.S. history in Houston, Texas, so I still don't quite have my Minnesota accent going.
All right, awesome. It is so great to have you here. So thanks for joining us, Cindy. All right, and then next up we have Karen. Karen, I think you may be muted on the computer that you were speaking from. So if you wouldn't mind just doing that one more time.
Okay, sorry. We're going to get this correct here yet. I'm Karen. I'm a curriculum coach in Cincinnati, Ohio. And formerly in the classroom, I was an English language arts teacher.
All right, awesome. Glad to have you here. All right, next up we have Crystal.
Hi, everyone. My name is Crystal Morgan. I am a STEAM instructional coach here in Dallas, Texas, working at one of the largest schools in the state of Texas, and I'm glad to be a part of this panel. Excited to be, to see what everyone has to say and hope I can contribute in some way.
Absolutely. Really, really excited to hear your phenomenal insights. So thank you so much for joining us, Crystal. All right, next up we have Kenya.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kenya Ramsey. I am originally from Toledo, Ohio, 419 area code. Woo. But I live in Atlanta, Georgia now, where I am an instructional technology coach for a large school district. And I am currently preparing to do my dissertation on personalized learning, professional development. Glad to be here with you all.
Oh, and so glad to have you. That is such a great topic and very timely for tonight's panel. So very, very glad to have you here. All right, great. And then next up we have Rochelle.
Hey, Rochelle here from close to Pittsburgh. I teach Spanish and a course to 8th graders in STEAM emerging technology. And I'm excited to be part of this conversation tonight because I love the concept of personalized PB, for sure.
Awesomeness. So glad to have you here. So welcome back, Rochelle. And last and certainly not least, we have Joshua.
Hi, I am Joshua Pice. I'm glad to hear that Ohio, and specifically the 409 area code, is so well represented. I'm not in Ohio now. I am in Shanghai, China, where I work for New York University, Shanghai as an L2 writing specialist. And I also oversee a number of professional development workshops for working with linguistically and culturally diverse students, as well as LGBTQ students at the university.
That is fantastic. Well, welcome. And it is truly an international panel tonight. So that is just awesome. So very, very excited to jump into this conversation. So the very first question that we have for tonight is, how do you frame the concept of personalized professional development? Like, what does that mean to you? So I'm going to go first to Kenya on that.
Well, I am glad you asked. I have noticed, and I'm sure we all have, that historically in education, we have come up with some type of standard or standardized definition, and we work from that to adjust education, modify, make accommodations. However, when we take that approach with personalized learning, we seem to, as educators, struggle and at times be overwhelmed. So I begin to personally just look at the phrase from the aspect of what is it not? And then as long as I don't violate any of those, then I'm okay with personalized learning. That's very broad, but that's the idea, is because what it is for me, it may not be for you. It's personal. So I really have recently been focusing on what is it not, just to make sure I am staying away from things that, misconceptions. I'll say it that way.
I like that approach, like chipping away at what is it not. All right, fantastic. All right, what about you, Jarod?
When we talk about personalized PD, I know that's a big umbrella that a lot of strategies fit underneath, but honestly, I feel like any strategy that kind of focuses on three big ideas along the lines of allowing a teacher to develop their own growth mindset, to allow them to be intrinsically motivated, not using extrinsic motivators, and then also giving them sustainable autonomy, not a one and done kind of autonomous moment that they get to experience in a short, brief, one-day experience, but yet they still get to experience on a monthly basis to allow them to be able to continue to foster the intrinsic motivation and the growth mindset.
Love that. Love that. Absolutely. All right. So let's go next to Cindy.
Yeah, I'll just have to follow along with both of those are wonderful definitions and go with it. But, you know, just like what we're wanting personalized learning with students, to make it personalized learning for the teachers with this personalized professional development, and meet the teacher on the content area they need, as well as in a timely fashion, either being online, being it through Twitter, or being it, you know, at a regular place for a face-to-face, but meet the teacher on topic and time.
Absolutely. And I love how you talked about the different social media channels as well, how we can involve those. Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. All right, so going next to Rochelle.
Well, I'm going to follow what they all said too. It's like, when I think of it as well, for me, I think there's so many ways for teachers to learn, and like we want our students to have these unique, meaningful, authentic learning experiences in our classroom and to take some risks and face some challenges. And if the teachers aren't kind of given that opportunity where they can self-direct and find these opportunities and kind of take some risks and deal with failures or challenges and things, then it's not going to transcend into the classroom. So when I think of it, I think it's like, it's what I want for the students, but I need to get that experience for myself first so then I can provide more for them.
Absolutely. So getting what we need in order to be able to give the students what they need. I love that. All right, awesome. Alyssa.
Hey guys. So much already. I guess what I can add for that is making sure that there is an interaction that's taking place, not just like, I want to do this, I'm passionate about this, but making sure that there are different opportunities. I know that we talked about kind of the different modes that you can use, but really the interaction is important to me, because when I think about personalized or my idea of, you know, differentiation, which is different than something being personalized, but it's kind of along those lines. I think that when teachers are developing their idea of what they want their classroom to be, or what kind of teacher they want to be, or what kind of culture they want to build, I also think about, you know, oh my goodness, along this journey, yes, there's going to be, you know, kind of some failures that we have, but getting that feedback. Because with PD, traditionally, it's been like, you get this information and then you keep on moving. And so, Jarod, yes, did I say it right? Hopefully I said it right. When you talked about kind of that like intrinsically motivated, that kind of resonated with me, because it's not just kind of that intrinsic, but it's that connection. So when teachers are learning about new things, connecting with communities, getting feedback from their coaches, kind of like asking questions, and kind of this worked for me and this didn't work for me and I did this thing. So the interaction is kind of key in terms of not, you along your journey as kind of being a person of inquiry, someone that falls down, someone that's excited about things. So that's my 10 cents for right now.
I'm loving it, loving all of the intricacies that you're bringing out in terms of personalized PD. Absolutely. All right. So Karen, how about you?
Well, I can completely echo everything that everybody has said so far, and it's been very thorough. But the one thing that I would add to it from my position as a curriculum director is the concept of time. Whenever you talk to anybody in education, they ask you, what is the one thing you would change? And it's, I never have enough time. And that goes with having release time for PD for teachers as well. I don't have very much access to the teachers. And so when I do, I don't want them sitting there watching something or listening to something that does not apply to them, that does not benefit them immediately in their classroom. It goes directly to our evaluation systems and our data walks that we do and analysis is that, what is it that they are interested in that is going to up their professional practice and make a difference for the kids. And so with personalized PD, it's, the right thing at the right time. And so hopefully that means that everybody is rowing in the same direction towards student achievement and is engaged at the same time.
I love that. So the right thing at the right time, and time being such the operative word in this situation. Absolutely. All right. So Crystal, what about you?
I would like to add to everything that everyone on the panel has said is like so far, it's amazing. What I would add though is to make sure that the personalized PD is data driven. I think that we need to make sure that when we are helping teachers to reach their goals, that the goal also reflects the student achievement in the classroom. So we have to think about data-driven as far as formative assessments with the students and formative assessments with the teachers. And even though a teacher may desire to learn something, how are they showing growth and how is it impacting the student learning in the classroom? Because everything that we do should be student-centered.
Absolutely. So that data piece and the student center, keeping the students at the focus and the students in mind. Absolutely. All right. So Tavia, Joshua, either one of you. Okay, Tavia, I see you unmuted. So
yeah,
go for it.
Okay. So everyone has said wonderful things. So I agree that personalized PD meets people where they are, but helps them to grow, even if they don't know what that growth is going to look like when they start. And I think that it should challenge people a little bit. There has to be an aspect of challenge. But one of the things that, we try to do when we're planning PD for people is work in some agency. So we always talk a lot about student agency, but I think teacher agency is important as well. There should be some ownership of that PD, and hopefully it will be an experience to them that is sustaining. So they will continue to kind of, take ownership of their PD, whether they need a lot of scaffolding at first. Hopefully they'll seek out opportunities on their own as well. It will give them confidence and empower them to kind of seek out those opportunities.
Absolutely. So thinking about that learner choice and that empowerment piece is very, very important. Great. And Joshua, how about you?
Yeah, the last speaker actually kind of stole the words right out of my mouth. The whole time that I was listening to this, I was thinking about teacher agency, right? And how personalized PD to me creates an avenue where we can actualize teacher agency. And one of the ways that we do this is by tapping teachers' existing strengths and existing competencies and encouraging them to work with others to extend that, right? I agree. I think that what's critical here is that we push ourselves as educators and the teachers that we're working with and mentoring, we push them out of their comfort zone and encourage them to try new things, and understanding that we're all going to fail. Our students fail, we fail, right? It's what we do with that failure afterwards, And I think by creating a professional development paradigm that allows for increased teacher agency and ownership over the professional development process, right, we can kind of change this kind of negative conversation about failure into one that becomes, again, more about lifelong learning, right? And to me, that's part of the reason why many of us are in education or education adjacent fields, is because we are ourselves lifelong learners. And that, to me, is what professional development is.
Absolutely, taking it back to that lifelong learning piece, that is very, very important, and that's definitely something that we're modeling. All right, so Randall will be with us in just a moment, but just wanted to go ahead and ask question 2. So question 2 is, why is personalized PD such a hot topic for schools? That is question 2, and I see Randall is here. So hey, Randall, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. There we go.
All right, perfect. So would you mind introducing yourself? And we're on question 2, so I'll let you ask question 2, because you might have like some more context that you want to give to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, guys, we're having some technical difficulties. I believe it's probably more my end than anybody else's end.
Not a problem.
Yeah. So we are on question 2. And let me pull that up real quick just to make sure I'm in the right spot here. As we're talking about, I think question 1 was basically framing the concept of personalized PD, which I think is a way for us to really start thinking about professional development and how we want to see it. So question 2 is this whole concept of the hot topic, right? So why is personalized PD such a hot topic nowadays? And I think that's a personalized question, right, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because hot is defined differently by every person, and people typically use personalized PD for various reasons, and that's kind of why I threw that question out there, because every person can identify hot as something that's unique to their school system, their school district, their classroom, and even every period of the day. So, you know, what do you think, Sarah? What's so hot about personalized PD?
Oh my goodness. Well, definitely, keeping the learner choice, as many of our panelists have said, and that's the way to make sure that everything is relevant and authentic to what we're doing. So I know that there were a few people who wanted to chime in on that. So we're going to go Karen, then Rochelle, then Crystal, then Jarod. So go ahead, Karen.
Great, thank you. Hi, Randall. Nice to meet you. I've been reading about you today. So it's nice to meet you. I think taking off of what you said, the definition of hot, the notes that I had was that it depends on who you're talking to. It's a hot topic from the teacher's perspective because it gets them excited about being able to choose what they want to do and not being told what they have to do and when they have to do it and sit through things that don't apply to them. But it's also a hot topic from the administration's point of view because it's new territory for them. It's a lot more challenging to manage, everybody doing something different. It makes them give up control. And there's always this question of accountability. Are they really doing anything? Are they really getting something out of it? So I think it originally came out because of the focus on the student, with differentiation started, and now we went to the personalized. And I think the teachers are realizing that it's good for students, and students do well with that, and they want it too. But I do think that there's different definitions of why it's hot in a good way and maybe in a challenging way, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So I think the big thing that really strikes me about this concept of the hot topic is the heat that it brings from the classroom and the heat that it brings from the individual teacher. So now that individual teacher is on fire, and because it's their own choice. But as an administrator, you kind of feel that heat too, because you have to give up so much control and you have to trust the people around you that they have the autonomy to grow in the direction that they want to grow into. And that's one of the things that Jarod kind of talks about, is this level of autonomy.
All right, and Rochelle, how about you?
Well, it's funny. I was totally thinking of the question in a totally different way, like as a hot topic, like why is it so important and, you know, at the forefront right now? And then when Randall said hot, I was like, oh man, there goes my answer. But a couple things that popped in my mind, like when Karen was saying, you know, about teachers, it's hot because they're excited about it, because there are so many things coming, like there's ed camps and there's all these opportunities for social media, you know, online, EduMatch, everything, where people can get what they want when they need it. And the other thing I think is, like, that I was thinking before the answer changed, is there are so many things out there for teachers to learn and need to know how to do to provide for the students in the classroom, that you can't possibly provide it in one session in a PD in like a 1 hour, where, you know, it might not pertain to people and they need to self-direct. And so that was part of what I was thinking. But then back to what Karen said too about administrators, like there is that accountability. But I think even with traditional PD right now, there's accountability, because if you separate and go to your different departments, or if you're at a table in the back of the room or whatever, you know, there's always the element of accountability no matter what. I just think that it's a greater benefit whenever you do see that the teachers are excited about it, and they come back and they can share all of the things that they've learned in 1 hour, rather than everybody sit and get the same thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, great. And what about Crystal? What do you think?
I think that I appreciate the definition of hot that was presented, but I'm going to still stick with my answer. This is my 12th or 13th year as being an instructional coach and working with 300 plus teachers. You realize that not one size fits all, especially when everything is based off of student data. So I think that with personalized PD, we bring into the equation, we deal with autonomy with accountability, reflecting student productivity, meaning that every teacher doesn't necessarily need the same structure or the same support in the necessary areas. One of the books that I use is Paul Bambrook's Getting Better Faster. It has a scope and sequence in which you implement with teachers in order to help them understand from the beginning of the year all the way to the end of the year. And it's really focused on first year teachers. However, I realize that it does help with veteran teachers who've been teaching traditionally for 10 plus years, and there wasn't a lot of data and research based on what instructional coaching looks like. Personalized PD, as far as choice, I've always been there. I think that on a campus base, because I am campus based, personalized PD is the emergency room, the triage, in order to help teachers be successful in order to reach the majority of their student population. And if we're not focusing again on student population and student growth and making sure that we're helping each teacher reach the maximum number of students that we can, then I can't expect because being STEAM, I'm science, technology, engineering, all of the arts, which is English, history, anything, and mathematics. And I can't coach everyone in the same content area the exact same way and expect them to get their students engaged using the same tools. Therefore, it has to be personalized based on the need of the students in that teacher's classroom. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And Jarod, what about you?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking along the lines as far as what Rochelle was also saying, as far as like why it's a up and coming topic of choice, just simply because I think both from the teacher aspect and from the administrator aspect, there's a lot of frustration, a lot of teacher turnover, a lot of good educating professionals that are leaving the profession, not just within the first 5 years, but now we're starting to see it for those educators that are in the first, they're in the 25th year and so on. And so they're starting to realize that the traditional forms of professional development that have existed for many, many years now, and the cycles of certain trends and everything else that keep coming through just is not working. And the more mandates does not mean more accountability does not add or solve the problem. And so, yes, there is a certain aspect of accountability, and I'm right on with Crystal saying, student learning has to be the focus, and I'm also all about that. But I think the main reason why people are talking about it is because there's frustration. And so now they're asking, how can we do this? How can we do it effectively more than anything else?
Absolutely. All right, Alyssa.
Hey, everybody. So I've been thinking, and why is the hot topic? I agree with everyone, kind of the different ideas. I kind of have mixed emotions when I think about the accountability piece, because I definitely have teachers, have had teachers who have said, hey, I want to, learn more about augmented reality. But we have 80% of our student body is struggling readers. And so when we look at the data and we look at kind of where our students, how we want to prepare our students to kind of strengthen those core skills and also engage them using technology and using, community and, our disposition and our discourse and all of these different things that we use to engage students. There's definitely got to be a balance between what the students need. That should be in the forefront of everything that we do, but we do have teachers that are like, hey, I want to do this thing. And how do you, and maybe that's a different question, but, how do we leverage that? How do we talk about that? How do we get teachers to kind of not just have a coaching culture, but a growth-minded culture, but making sure that's connected to the kids in every way, because if you can't connect that augmented reality to how the students are going to, their skills and understandings and, all of these things that we want them to have, if we can't see the bridge to that, then it's like, kind of why are we doing that? And so I know that's a different question, but when we talk about hot topic, I'm like, oh, this is exciting and this is going to allow us to do fantastic things. And Jarod, I get you. In terms of teachers leaving, you have fantastic teachers leaving at year 8 or leaving at year 10, and they're kind of burnt out by the layers of things that we have to do, where we don't see the light of why this is matter and if it's going to make real sustainable change. So, there's just, there's a lot, but I think there's got to be kind of a balance between, like what we're doing.
All right, great. Could we go next to Cindy, please?
Yeah, I love these discussions. You just get so many wonderful ideas from everybody else's ideas and what they're sharing. But I really think that personalized learning is a hot topic now, because I think teachers are really realizing they do have a voice in their development on what they want to do for their students and how they want it. And I think we have the technology now to offer that in schools as a curriculum designer to, make online modules if your school is using Schoology and put things together and have that available. So I think that's why it's becoming a hot topic. The teachers are wanting it and needing it. They have so much to do, so they have that need, and they are empowered by their PLNs, and we have the tech to support that. So that's my feelings on the hot topic.
All right, very cool, very cool. And checking in now with Joshua.
Yeah, I agree that there definitely needs to be a link between students' needs and what teachers are doing to continue their professional growth. I certainly agree with that, but I also think that this is where the social aspect of professional development becomes important, right? Because when we knock our heads together, when we share our cognition with our peers, then we can come up with novel ways to extend our personal learning, and then to answer that question, well, how can I use something like augmented reality, which is oftentimes very text heavy with students that are still struggling with acquiring academic literacy skills, right? But to this question of why is it such a hot topic, thinking specifically from my position in higher education, right, working with both academic and research staff in higher education, and also working with teacher training programs at NYU Shanghai, I think one of the reasons why this topic of personalized professional development is such a buzzy one, why it's such a hot topic, is in part because it's a way to, I think, overcome resistance towards professional development. I think oftentimes when seasoned teachers or people who don't see themselves primarily as teachers, perhaps they see themselves primarily as administrators, as academic support staff, or as researchers, when they encounter this professional development that's tied to teaching, which is an important part of what they do, there's resistance because they see themselves as already expert in their chosen area. And certainly teachers are experts in education, just like I'm an expert in the field of TESOL, which is what my PhD and my MA were both in. But that doesn't mean that you're done learning, right? So to me, personalized professional development opens the door by allowing that teacher to take agency over this process, to take more control over this process, right? And that lowers that kind of resistance or that barrier to entry into the professional development process overall. Thanks.
All right, great. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. All right, so Tavia, how about you?
So everyone has had great comments. I don't know how to follow all of this up, but I can say before I went to Friday Institute, I was a high school librarian. So I felt very much like an island on my own in the building. There was no one else like me in the building. And so my school had no idea how to provide professional development for me. And so I think that sometimes this can be such a hot topic because speaking to like agency and frustration, for me, I was very frustrated because I felt like I was doing a lot of the training, but wasn't having opportunities to grow professionally myself, or wasn't being given those opportunities. So I had to go out and seek it on my own. And so I think personalized PD is really important because it's almost impossible to provide what every single person needs all the time. And so when we can provide some of these opportunities and sort of build some of that empowerment and that agency for people to seek out opportunities on their own, they can kind of take hold of their own learning and sort of go in a direction that's going to work best for not just their growth, but for the kids in their classroom.
Absolutely. All right, fantastic. And could we hear from Kenya also?
Sure. I agree with pretty much everything that was said earlier. It was all profound and succinct and somewhat simple, but yet profound. What resonated with me was the part about resistance. And I believe that a lot of the resistance, most of the resistance, has been because many teachers are lifelong learners. Although we are experts, we're professionals, we still want to continue to grow, to affect our students in an increasing way. And so when you have that desire to continue to learn and improve and hone your craft, yet you're not getting what you need to do that, many of us, when we really want to do that, we'll seek it on our own. Personalized PD has been going on before this became a hot topic. It's just that now that we're connected, in my humble opinion, now that we are connected globally more easily, we're aware that we're not the only ones doing it, or that our small community, because before tech, my PLN was in my building, or it was in my district, or it was friends that I happen to know that were in education as well. Well, now my PLN is people across the world and people I've never met, or that when I finally see them face to face, it's like, oh yeah, we're Twitter friends. Oh, it's nice to officially meet. So now that I know what's going on beyond the walls of my circle in my world, now I see, oh wow, this has been growing, this has been going on all along, because where there's a will, there's a way, and where knowledge and need intersect, that's relevance. So if it's relevant to me, I'm going to seek it out because I want to know, I need to know how to do it. I'm going to find the knowledge on my own if no one's giving it to me, because that's what I want to do. And not just me, that's just how we are as educators.
Wow, fantastic points. Fantastic points made by all. Great. So I think we got everybody for the second question. So so Randall, if you want to kick it off with the third question, that would be amazing.
Wow, I don't know what to say. All of those answers were just packed full of things that I have to unpack and rethink about. And you're definitely churning the thoughts with me. So let's move on to the next one, right? So as we start thinking about personalized PD and the way I frame personalized PD It's about using social media tools to interact and having this ability to connect your PLN beyond your building, your classroom, and also bring people into your building or classroom. So the question would be, so what would be some key benefits, right? Because we also talk about accountability as the traditional sense of accountability. Kids are only reading, 20% of kids can read at grade level. And we're doing augmented reality. How's that going to transition or transfer to the classroom level? So what are some key benefits to using personalized PD that an administrator might not know about, or if the school district is seeing their reading scores in the tank and somebody comes to them talking about personalized PD, what would be benefits? And then why should schools or districts or individual teachers adopt this practice? Why should they use it? What's the argument for using it? And if somebody says not to use it, what would be the response?
Okay, so let's switch it up and hear from Joshua first on this one.
Sure. Again, I'm going to go back to kind of lowering these barriers to entry and overcoming resistance, again, just because of the populations that I work with, right? To me, this is one of the key benefits of personalized PD. Another is that it acknowledges that educators, no matter what student population they're working with, are highly trained individuals, they are professionals, they are experts in their chosen field, and it allows them to activate that knowledge and to share it with others, right? So when I'm working with a group of social work professors to talk about how to work with multilingual students, right, I'm not just teaching them about how, I'm not just sharing my expertise with them on the field of TESOL, I'm also learning from them and seeing new disciplinary intersections that can also be useful to me for my own professional development as well, right? So it creates connections inside the building, across campuses, and even now digitally with the personal learning networks, right? Globally, where you can really kind of fall in love with your field again and fall in love with learning again. To me, this is a strength, right? Because oftentimes with the paperwork, with meeting with students, with meeting with teachers, with meeting with parents, we can start to see that teacher burnout, right? And part of that may be because, we see ourselves as lifelong learners, but that need isn't being realized. So I think personalized PD is a way around this, right? And I would say if any educational institution, whether it's K-12 or higher ed, sees even a portion of its primary mission as educating individuals, children or young adults, or even older adults, right? I would say that there has to be some attention given to preparing their faculty, their staff to be good educators, right? And to deliver the instructional content at a quality that their students need, right? And that's an area where I feel that higher ed is lagging behind, right? So I think that this is a conversation that needs to start happening in higher education, right? And in teacher training programs as well, to create value around this idea of personalized PD, and to see it as a way that, yes, we can meet our own needs to be lifelong learners, but then we can also connect this to the needs that exist in the building and in our classrooms to help our students achieve. Thank you.
All right, awesome. Let's hear next from Rochelle.
Well, I won't add too much because there's other people that definitely need to talk, but I'll say that the benefits are that teachers will feel more valued whenever they can go out and they can make the decisions on their own, what they think that they need. And I think there's a lot of comfort in that. It helps to build confidence, because if you can start wherever you are and you can seek out these opportunities, and then you can connect with other resources and gain different perspectives and bring them back to your classroom. And so it opens up so much more, not just for you and for the other teachers in your school, and administrators too, when you come back and you share your ideas, but also for the students who have these teachers that are going out and trying new things. And definitely having the choice in what you take on, and being able to start with other people, and whether it's an ed camp or if you do it like a book study or anything like that, whenever you meet these other connections, even if you go with somebody from your school and you come back, it can open up additional conversations. So maybe you weren't working with another department in your school and you find out that you went to something similar, and then you can do something cross-curricular. So just think the opportunities just continue to increase whenever you open up more opportunities for teachers to do their own PD.
Absolutely. All right. I love that. All right. Let's hear next from Jarod.
So in terms of why schools, like why should a school go school-wide with something like this? So in the method that I use with personalized PD, I do focus on student learning, and the idea is that the question that I pose to teachers are, where do you see students continually operating in the lowest levels of Bloom's taxonomy? Essentially what I'm asking an educator to do, and I do ask not just teachers, I do ask administrators to do this exact same thing. So it's not just students, it's your learners. Where do you see your learners? So it could be either or. But in that case, when I'm asking that question, I'm asking them to identify a weakness, a weak spot. Now, some schools may use data, because I know someone else brought up the idea of data. So some schools may use data to find that weak spot. Well, then the question becomes, if I identify that as where my students are continually operating the lowest levels of Bloom's taxonomy, the next question then is, how do I move them into the upper levels? And that's an uncomfortable situation for a lot of educators to be in. That's where we start, as Joshua pointed out, where we get them into to be uncomfortable. Well, the idea is then something I would pose to an administrator or anybody that's sort of head of a building. I would simply say, wouldn't you want every single educator being deeply reflective about their instruction and honing in on what's not working, and then continually working towards trying to make it better? That doesn't require a whole school-wide initiative of any kind. That is your initiative. And that could be done at an individual level or a small group level based on what it is that we're trying to tackle. It doesn't have to be grade alike, doesn't have to be content alike, it can be instructionally alike. So that would be my biggest argument for why something like this should be school-wide, not just done in pockets within your building, but your whole building, your whole district. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to cut out as well.
All right. Well, we appreciate having you here, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. So
Bye, guys.
fantastic. All right. Have a good night, Jarod. All right. So I believe that Tavia was up next.
Yeah, so just to kind of piggyback off of what everybody else was saying about benefits of personalized PD, I just think that the choice allows teachers, like Jarod said, to be really reflective of what not only that they want to learn, but what they need to learn and how they need to grow to better help their students. But giving people choice does a couple of things. It helps to build confidence, not just in their abilities to do things, but also their ability to choose where they want to go and how they want to grow. And that's really empowering. And it helps to build teacher capacity, obviously. And this will empower teachers to continue to learn and lead. Hopefully, that's the goal. And I think it's also really important when you do personalized PD or when it's used, especially like on a school level, that there is some kind of like platform or structure, maybe a protocol, something in place that is going to encourage the teachers to share what they're learning, whether that be social media or, you know, during PLCs. Or whatever it is. But I think that when you have personalized learning, you know, they're going in so many directions, but we want to bring it back and we want everybody to know what everybody else is learning, because you start creating these pockets of experts in all types of different things in your building. And you can really utilize that, you know, if the communication is there. And I'm going to have to leave too, but it's been wonderful to
Well, thank you so much, Tavia. It was great hearing from you. So hopefully you have a great evening. So thank you so much. All right, so we're gonna go next to Crystal.
Hey, I think everyone has said some great things, and it's and I want to say, Randall, great questions. They've all tied into each other really well. I feel like sometimes I'm repetitive on what I'm saying when I say student data. I don't want anyone to get confused that I'm stuck on numbers, because there's quantitative and there's qualitative data. And I'm sorry, I believe that all teachers should be focusing on how can I be better for my students, not necessarily on what do I want to be better at, but how can I be better for my students, because that is my primary responsibility, my primary mission. The question is, why should campuses focus on it? Any campus that has an instructional coach has already bought into personalized PD, in my personal opinion, since I've been one for 12 years at least. I think at least 12, I might be. But anyway, because each instructional coach that's on campus on the front line with those students are helping teachers to recognize and reflect on their own data. And you have reluctant teachers, just like you, as reluctant learners, just like you have reluctant students that are reluctant learners, but you have those go-getters also who want to advance. The bottom line is personalized enrichment plans will help everybody grow, because when a teacher grow, then exponentially the students that they're touching will grow. So if we want to increase the numbers across the board, then we have to increase performance across the board. So we set SMART goals at the beginning of the year. We look at our data individually, and we have those critical conversations in a safe environment where it's okay to say, you know what, I'm really struggling in this area, and we monitor it. We spiral it back in just like we do with our students. We are learners in our craft at all times because our students change. I don't care how many students, if your data says you have the exact same amount of SPED, the same EL students, same Hispanic, same African American, same white students, exact same number, you still have 120 different students than you had last year. And you have to be willing to dig deep into that data, get to know that child personally, and understand where their learning dropped off when they were previous years. But also you have to understand where you have continued to perform low in your own personal scores. When your students are continuously struggling in persuasive writing or in analyzing a function and being able to make those connections, it's a difficult conversation that must be had at a personal level and in a safe environment. So I applaud all the districts and all the campuses that have an instructional coach that have picked up that torch to be that mirror for that teacher that's willing to go out there and walk that walk with that teacher so that that teacher can help a child. That's just my take on personalized instruction. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much for sharing that, Crystal. That was amazing. All right, so we're going to go next to Cindy.
I know, Crystal, that was very good, very impassioned. Yes, to use that person, a lot of, I don't know if all schools get to use that person well enough to the full capacity. So thank you for sharing that. Mine too is I think schools should use personalized learning, not only in the way in which Crystal said, but also to go outside it, because as a U.S. history teacher, I went out and was able to go to the humanities PD classes and National Archives and Gilder Lehrman. So outside my own school and district resources to make me a better U.S. history teacher, to be able to reach all students and find the necessary resources, like I said, beyond the walls of my school. And that is why it needs to be, really focus on personalized learning too.
Absolutely. Sorry about that. I had a little technical glitch there.
That's okay. And I'm like some of the others, I think we're falling off one by one. But I have to move on to something else right now in 10 minutes. So I will be signing off as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was great to hear from you and to learn with you.
Oh, I'm so glad to be a part of this group. It's been phenomenal.
Awesome. Well, thank you and have a great night, Cindy.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. And then we are going next to Karen.
Hi. There's been so many wonderful things that everyone has already said, but building off of a couple things that Tavia and Crystal said was, I think one of the biggest cases for why they need to do it is empowerment. We've been talking in Ohio anyway about data for years. The state test and the format of it is continually changing. The benchmark as to what is considered to be proficient seems to be also changing continually. And so it really, the teachers are feeling very overwhelmed, and they see these numbers and they may not like the numbers, but they know they're working really hard. But the personalized learning gives them an empowerment that they can do something about it. They know what needs to happen. They just don't have the time to do it. Or maybe they don't know where to go to get it, and they just need time to look. So I think to build on what Tavia said, I think it's really an empowerment reason for that. And then the other thing that Crystal said, and I thought was really important, was that when the teachers grow, the students grow. And I think that's not just from, a content knowledge, but I think it's more of an excitement about about teaching again. When I joined Twitter, I resisted doing it for years. And somebody finally convinced me, Karen, you got to get on it. And I have never had more positive interactions with educators in the last 8 months that I've been on Twitter than I've had in the last 15 years. And there's so many ideas. There's so many people out there that are fired up about what we're doing that it's just contagious. And I've realized how I was missing the fun that I used to have and the creativity that I used to have in my classroom. And I think having the personalized learning gets somebody excited about something, about trying something different, about making it excited, and their enthusiasm boils over into the kids. And we all know that when a kid is enthusiastic about something, when they're engaged, they're going to learn better. So I think those are two things that those ladies said were just spot on.
Absolutely. And finding that passion and, just taking it and running with it. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. All right. So going next to Alyssa.
Hey guys. So I have 2 autistic sons. One of them just started using whole sentences a year ago. And I'm saying that because when we were talking about, even Crystal, when you were talking about our different kind of learners and teachers who are teaching the same, group of kids, and maybe the kids have different needs. I have a little scientist, a little engineer, and then I have a musician. And so I definitely get it in terms of kind of like that, not one size fits all, but like in a real way, personally and professionally. So I guess I just kind of want to echo maybe some of the things that everybody else was saying. Having the flexible structures, validating, the differences and kind of the differences in the way that we instruct students, and the way that we attach meaning to different things, different ideas, and then creating a community. So if you have teachers that become these mini experts, I think Tavia was talking about that, being able to go to those experts. I know that, I'm in a couple of groups, and, more recently in the EduMatch group, I've been talking a lot about our ELL students and getting resources for those. And so even within the communities that we have, being able to kind of tap into exciting new resources to help our students. So lots of great reasons why we should be doing the personalized PD.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. It just really, it's really worth it, to definitely have that learner choice in what we want to learn to best support our students. So going next to Kenya.
Well, honestly, my district, which is fairly large for where I am, it's the 2nd largest in our state. We are in the process of implementing personalized PD statewide. And one of the more practical reasons, although everything that's been said is very true, and just really at the core of what we need to do to be better for students. But one of the practical reasons is we don't have the money. So we can no longer afford to bring people in, to pay for subs. And so for the last 3 years, we've done nothing. PD has been up to teachers, which is wild to me, but for lack of a better term, that was just like really radical. And I just never heard of that. We just don't have professional development, when just 3 years before, it was a requirement to renew your teaching certificate. And so these past 3 years, I believe the state has been looking at how can we do this more economically, and how can we do it in a better way for several reasons. One, the relevance and the kickback from teachers and from administrators, and the lack of finances. And so while that was brewing, and then ed tech integration was brewing, it kind of all just big banged into this whole, well, there's already a rise in teachers doing it on their own, so let's see if we can kind of bring a systematic process to that and implement it across our state. So everyone's already stated why we should do it. I just thought of one more practical reason. It, for the most part, is free. And if it's not free, it's less expensive than what we've been doing for eons. That's all.
Yeah, totally. Definitely that that monetary value. It can't be understated. Let me do a little quick switch on my computer really quickly. Okay, so hopefully people are able to hear me online, but because I was hearing that my voice was not coming through online, so don't worry, I'll edit this part out. But anyway, just wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who is on panel tonight for all of your great insight. I'm going to turn it back over to Randall to see if there's anything that he would like to add.
Yeah, no, guys, this has been absolutely awesome. I'm sitting here listening to it and understanding it, and for me, I think that the biggest thing that we didn't mention, or that we always avoid talking about, is this whole finance piece, right? So you kind of have this whole idea where you have to get your license renewed, you want to grow professionally, but all of that comes at a cost. And now states are starting to switch to personalized PD as a component. And that's something that I've worked on for the past 4 or 5 years with other states as well, is this whole option of personalized PD for graduate credit to get your license renewed. Use the same personalized PD components from social media for your eval process as evidence of what you're doing, and then use that same evidence towards your PLC and TBTs, and then use that same evidence to communicate with parents to say, hey, I know your kid has a 504 IEP. Here is the evidence about how I'm implementing it by going to Sarah's. Let's say, for instance, they're going to Sarah's Pinterest page and found some really cool things that Sarah has on Pinterest dealing with IEPs. Now I can take those ideas and actually implement them in my classroom, get grad credit for that, get my license renewed, grow as a professional, bring that to my PLC, PLM, to my intervention specialist and say, this is what I'm working on. I think all of these things combined make for great learning and make it more relevant for everybody.
Absolutely, I could not agree more. Just in terms of having a choice over what we want to learn, and being able to find those different things on social media, and learning, being lifelong learners, picking them up, what fits and what join, or what works best for our students, and being able to find that out. So I'm seeing a lot of comments coming through on the chat, both in Zoom and also on our YouTube live page. So this was just such a phenomenal conversation, and I wanted to thank everyone again for all of your insights. So thank you to Dr. Randall Sampson for the questions and for your moderation, and thank you to all of the panelists tonight. So we have Karen, Crystal, Alyssa, Kenya, Joshua, and we have also more people who were with us who had to bow out, but also a huge shout out to Rochelle and to Tavia and to Jarod and to Cindy, and I really hope I'm not missing anyone. But also wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who was watching on YouTube Live. So it did partially come through, but don't worry, we're gonna get the whole thing out to you in podcast form very shortly. So tune in next week, same bad time, same bad channel, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to be talking about EduMojo. So getting your EduMojo on with Dr. Dorian Roberts, right on time for the school year to begin. So if you are interested, you can just go to our page and sign up, podcasts with an s.edumatch.org/sign up. And then that way you can be on panel. So you can sign up for that, and also for future episodes that are coming up. So definitely wanted to thank you all again and wish everyone a great, great week. So have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
And we are off the air. So I just wanted to thank you all so much for everything. Sorry for all the technical glitches, new computer. So it's just been crazy. I don't know why it wasn't working today going live at first, but we're going to get this hammered out. So definitely we'll put it back out there for the community to watch in its entirety. So wanted to thank you guys for that.
Thank you.
Can I ask
Cool,
Dr.
thank you so
Sampson a
much.
question before he leaves?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I'd like to ask Dr. Sampson a question before he leaves.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Absolutely.
Okay, I've been reading all day about you and about this concept of this personalized learning. It's been good so far. Haven't found anything bad. About you using it to earn graduate credit. You know, what kind of documentation, or how do you structure that, and how did you set that up with the university?
Yeah, so for me, it was a big battle, right? Because universities all believe that the teachers have to come to them and do all their stuff there with their professors. So, so I found a couple, and they took it. And so what teachers do is they would, let's say, for instance, Twitter. And remember, this is personalized, so it's whatever you're comfortable with. So they take Twitter, and if they tweet 64 things from the classroom and put it in the story feed, that's grad credit, right? Or if they join the Twitter chat multiple times a week or whatever it is, their 64 responses they put into Twitter moments or story feed, some grad credit. Another option could be something like Pinterest. You can pin 64 items that you're going to use, tag each one with the standard that you're going to use it with, and submit your Pinterest board for grad credit. Or you can take, this podcast, and you can listen to 17 podcasts and recap them on Pinterest and repin them on Pinterest and submit that pin board. So I have an entire grid that kind of gives the layout as to what are some suggestions that you use, even Instagram, Flipgrid, anything that's digital, Google Docs, Google Slides, as you use stuff in the class. But it's, at essence, it's about what you do in the classroom and how you end up enhancing your own practice.
Can you share that grid with us? Or would you share the grid with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's out there on Twitter. Yes, it's out there on Twitter. It's the personalized PD choice grid. So you should see it like in my pictures or on my handle, and I'll repost it again.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. What state are you in?
Ohio.
Oh, you're